That's right. That is an expression, and you are right. It did earn my ire because, frankly, I'm a little sick and tired of coaches, usually from Western Europe, but not always, coming here and disrespecting football and its culture here in Asia, and the type of behaviour we are seeing from Fowler. We've seen, when he was here in Australia before, the abuse and criticism of match officials, the unprofessional heckling of anyone who dares criticise him on social media. And he's showing himself to have a very, very thin skin. And we saw that again this week when Shaji Prabhakaran, the president of the Delhi FA, a local football association, tweeted what I thought was a very sensible and very measured critique when he said, and I'll read out what he said: Fowler and his assistant, Tony Grant, must understand that Indian football is not born after their arrival. Fowler should behave as a professional and apologise for his disrespectful behaviour. We value his presence in India, but he shouldn't forget his responsibility and upset his huge followers. Perfectly reasonable, I would have thought, but Fowler, in true Fowler fashion, had to bite back, saying it was poor form and unprofessional for Shaji to come onto social media and criticise him like that. And the irony is delicious, really. Now, Fowler isn't the only coach to complain about decisions. He's certainly not the only coach. There's plenty of across Asia that do that, but it's the manner and the regularity with which he does it that's the issue for me. He's already serving a 4-game touchline ban for his constant abuse of match officials already so far in this Indian Super League season. And just this week, he received yet another show cause notice for allegedly abusing players from Hyderabad FC in their recent match. And this on top of biting back on air against Alko Shatori, a Dutch coach who has been working in and around Asian football for the better part of 20 years now, and a pundit for Star Sports on their coverage of the Indian Super League after he dared criticise the performances of East Bengal earlier this season. So it all leads me to question just what value Fowler is bringing to Indian football, and whether he actually cares about Indian football all that much. All the while that his team is struggling and languishing near the bottom of the table, he's off creating his own Liverpool-themed podcast called, What Else But The God Pod. And if you look at his social media, well, there isn't much East Bengal or Indian football on there at all. It's a sea of red and promotion for his own podcast. So is his heart with East Bengal and what he's, said about doing here in India, or is it back on Merseyside? And, this isn't meant to be a dig against foreign managers, because there are plenty, and there have been and continue to be plenty of brilliant ones right across Asia, and we've had many of those on this podcast before. But the best ones, they wholeheartedly embrace the club, the culture, the country that they're in, and that's why they succeed. And I just don't see that with Robbie Fowler. I see a guy who generally thinks, because of his decorated career back in Europe, that he is better than where he is. And he's not the only misbehaving British coach in the Indian Super League either, after Stuart Baxter was sacked a month or so ago by Odisha for inappropriate comments that he made after a recent match when he was also criticising referees. So I'll get your thoughts on this too, Scott. But my final thought on this just is that the grand total of your contribution to Asian football and to Indian football is just going to be constant abuse of match officials, criticism of officials within India, criticism of pundits. Then do you really have a place within Asian football? I say you don't.